problema do lixo na Amazônia é um problema muito sério, porque as comunidades e os povos que vivem na Amazônia, elas estão muito isoladas e normalmente não recebem nenhum tipo de saneamento básico do governo, e as práticas que são feitas para se livrar desse lixo também prejudicam o meio ambiente. Então a gente está aqui começando esse projeto na aldeia Mutum, na terra indígena dos Yanauá, no Acre, e a ideia é tornar essa aldeia a primeira aldeia da Amazônia lixo zero.
Porque até hoje a gente nunca faz esse trabalho de dizer para as famílias que nós temos um lugar agora do lixo e que esse lixo não vai ficar mais enterrado, nem vai ser queimado, e não vai ser jogado mais dentro dos lagos, nem dos igarapés, mas que agora ele vai ter um destino para a cidade.
Se a gente conseguir fazer essa aldeia lixo zero aqui, provavelmente a gente vai poder replicar isso em outros lugares da Amazônia e tornar a floresta amazônica lixo zero.
A gente vai ter uma estrutura que a gente possa conscientizar as famílias de deixarem todo o lixo em um só lugar, com um barco que possa tirar o lixo da nossa aldeia, e essa é uma das partes principais.
É um projeto, uma bênção, porque isso cuida da nossa saúde, cuida da nossa casa.
Que vai ser um projeto muito, que vai trazer muitos resultados bons, não só para nós, mas para as outras famílias que existem ao redor da nossa aldeia. Tem várias aldeias de cima, de baixo.
É um desafio muito grande e que depende de uma mudança de comportamento das pessoas, de uma consciência ambiental, mas que vai ser muito importante.
E que nós possamos ser os primeiros a dar esse primeiro passo, e que eles também vão seguir esse mesmo conceito de ter uma aldeia limpa, saudável, com lixo zero.
E a gente está atrás de parceiro para isso, para poder evitar esse mau contato, que seria os lixos, Então nós queremos uma floresta saudável e nós também viventes daqui.
A aldeia Mutum será o piloto do projeto Aldeia Lixo Zero, e com os recursos adquiridos pela iniciativa será possível educar e capacitar as 27 famílias que hoje vivem no Mutum, assim como as lideranças das aldeias vizinhas, sobre a importância da redução, da reutilização e da reciclagem dos resíduos ali gerados. O projeto vai possibilitar também a aquisição de um barco para retirada desses resíduos da aldeia, assim como a construção de 2 estações de lixo, uma no Mutum e outra na vila mais próxima à terra indígena do Rio Gregório, a vila de São Vicente, para onde serão levados os resíduos retirados da aldeia.
Nós estamos muito felizes porque agora a gente sente realmente que nós vamos tirar o lixo da nossa aldeia.
Contamos com a sua colaboração para que esse projeto aconteça.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Healers Forum project, where we deal with everything from healing, whether it's self-healing, environmental healing, planetary healing, just healing in general. And today we have an interview with a really interesting and lovely lady called Fernanda Gabara. I hope I pronounced that right. And she's a social and environmental scientist currently working on an amazing project in the Amazon forest in the area of Acre, Brazil, with the Yawanawa tribe. Fernanda, welcome to the show. Thank you for the interview, giving us this interview. Can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, the name of your project and then what it's all about?
Okay, first thank you for the opportunity of talking here.
Thank you.
And the project is called Zero Waste Community. It's, in Portuguese is Aldeia Lixo Zero. And the intention of the project is to turn one of the villages of the Yanawa tribe into a zero waste community.
Okay, so can you tell us what the issues are and how you came to understand that that was needed?
The waste problem in the Amazon, it's something that happens in many different villages and communities, and also not just in indigenous tribes, but also with traditional communities, smallholders, and even large landholders. They have problems with waste, which is something that it's a problem everywhere. But what happened was that the first time I was there, I noticed the problem there was something that they were having a lot of difficulties to deal with because they are very isolated in the forest. They are situated around 8 hours more or less from the nearest village that receives some sort of waste sanitation from the government, but not as frequent as they wanted as well. So the main issue for them is how to remove the waste from there, besides having a huge amount of waste that they didn't have before, because now they are much more in touch with products from the city, with people, with white people that go there to know more about their traditions and so on, and take the waste there. But besides the increasing the amount of waste, they also have a problem in terms of taking this waste to the city, because they rely on transportation, on riverside transportation. So
their only form of transportation is to take in a boat,
yeah,
from what I understand, a canoa, sort of,
exactly,
down the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and obviously some people would say, well, why can't they burn it? You wouldn't want to do that because it's got lots of plastics and it's toxic. And it's quite shocking, actually, because when I saw the video that obviously we're going to put for other people to see, to expect to see that kind of waste in the Amazon.
Yeah.
And obviously the Amazon is really important for the planet. It's the lungs of the planet.
Yeah.
So it's great what you're doing. Okay, so how are you planning to change that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the idea started exactly because of this point of the Amazon being such a sacred place and that we need to conserve. And there was a friend of mine who was actually working with me in the beginning of the project, and he was thinking, oh, the Amazon is probably a waste frontier. There is no waste there. And I told him, no, it's not like this. Yeah. So we went there and we first talked with the community, with the Yanawa people, to see if they would be willing to be involved in such an initiative, and if they wanted the project, because the first thing is to have their acceptance and their willingness to implement the project. Yeah, because sure. I'm here just to help them with the implementation, but they are the ones that will need to implement it. So when we were there for this first visit, we discussed some ways of practical issues about the project, and it came from them that the most important benefits that the project should bring to the village is the construction of a waste station where every family could gather their waste and bring it and take it to this place. And also after, like, this will depend on how much waste they will produce, but after like 1 month or even like every 2 months or something, someone would
come and collect it. So it's a collection point for the waste.
Collection point, and they would all collaborate, and the project would also be able to provide a boat for them to remove the waste from there.
And the boat would be provided by
the project. Yeah,
okay.
Because
that would be funded.
Yeah, okay. It would be funded by the project. And one other thing that's very important for them is fuel, because they are very far from everything, so fuel is very expensive there. So the project is also has a budget for providing fuel for around 2 years.
Fuel.
Yeah.
And what is the fuel usually used for? Because most people wouldn't imagine in the jungle what they use fuel for, believe it or not.
For the motor, for the
For their transport
boat
going up and
motor.
down. Okay.
Yeah, because they have like it's a small boat, but then if you have a
It's a
motor,
single motor.
it's, yeah,
They got an engine.
yeah, engine, exactly.
Already fuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but we are also studying the possibility of having a solar panel for the motor, because there are some
Fabulous.
boats that are driven by solar panels. So then they can avoid the costs of the fuel, but for now it's still fuel. And and the other thing is that there will be a capacity building for them in terms of reducing the amount of waste, recycling and reusing, mainly reusing as
Right.
well. Reducing and reusing, because they already have some practices of reusing, because they don't have access to many things. And then they could like learn even more from this. And also the provision of solar flashlights and rechargeable batteries, so they could hunt with flashlights that don't rely on batteries, because batteries are
So currently they have an issue with the batteries. What's happening with the batteries? What are the batteries causing?
yeah, the batteries, it's one of the main problems in terms of waste there, because they are still hunter and gatherer. It's
Yep.
just like a community. They grow some food, but in terms of meat, they rely mainly on hunting, and they hunt at night. So they need like large flashlights that are the energy source are batteries, large batteries. And what they do with these batteries is that they throw it in the river, they throw it in
It's
the
causing
forest.
major pollution.
Yeah, and there is a lot of like contamination coming from the batteries, especially in terms of the fish as well, and they are already feeling it. So this was a very good side of it. I mean, it's a negative side, but because they are already feeling the problems of the waste, it was easier for them to understand that they need to have a solution. They need to work together for this solution as well. It's not like my problem. I'm not going there
Yes.
like in cleaning the village. I mean, we are doing a cleanup. We did the first cleanup that was really good, but they will need to be the ones
To be the ones to implement it constantly.
To
So you're
implement,
sort of
yeah.
educating, and you're bringing awareness with the government and making
Yeah.
arrangements with the government. And then obviously this is probably a widespread issue in the
Yeah.
in the Amazon. So are you hoping that the project will spread on to other tribes?
Yeah, the idea is that this will be the first
In care for the environment.
pilot project, and then we would try to, once it's like there, we could show, okay, it worked here, and it's been successful. So we would try to replicate it in other tribes,
Okay, fabulous.
because yeah, it's a huge problem.
So you're basically right now looking at crowdfunding, is that right? In order to, would you like to share with the listeners some information if they wanted to help donate towards the project, where they could go, where they
Yeah.
need to look?
Yeah, the project it's on the Indiegogo platform, and it's called Zero Waste Community, and it's there are different types of donations. We have still around 20 days for raising the funds. So the idea is that like people who want to donate go there and choose.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. And choose from different types of perks. So there are very like low cost ones, but also more expensive ones. And we are also studying the possibility of partnering with maybe a private sector company. For example, a lot of the materials that are there as waste, I was noticing, are from Unilever.
Okay.
So I was trying to see if maybe I could get in touch with them and
In
see
sponsoring
if they
yeah.
could sponsor, like at least, because it's not a lot of money for a company.
Yeah.
But maybe the crowdfunding will not be able to reach the goal. Hopefully it will. But yeah, we are also studying this possibility to see if the companies and even battery companies could try to jump in and help as well.
Okay, so this is, I mean, this is a fantastic cause. Personally, I think everybody on the planet should take responsibility in a little way towards keeping, you know, at least the Amazon forest nice and clean, because it's an important part of our planet. Okay, can you tell us how you got into the project in the first place? I know it was through your connection with Nishiwaka, who's a mutual friend of ours, and the Yawanawa tribe.
Yeah, okay, so I met Nishiwaka in London, and he knew I was working with the Amazon. I've been working in the Amazon with traditional communities for now more than 10 years. So he invited me to go to his tribe. He wanted me to know more about his family and everything. And then the first thing he told me about it when we were in the boat was that, Faye, I know you work with the environment, so don't get like really surprised and astonished with the waste problem, because you were gonna see and feel that there. And I told him, okay, I know that this is a problem, so no worries. And then once I was there, I was talking with the teachers. There are like 2 teachers there because they have a very small school, and they were also sharing like, oh, we really feel that this is a problem. The diseases are increasing. We think it's because of this, and also the mosquitoes and other things that also.
So the mosquitoes there carry
problem.
certain diseases.
Yeah.
Okay, the most typical being malaria.
Yeah,
malaria.
Yeah.
And obviously the rubbish
And
is
Zika.
attracting that, and Zika, the Zika virus now,
Yeah. Some time ago, like 1.5 years ago, was a huge problem of Zika manifestation in Brazil. And so this was the first visit, but then the project actually was born in between this first and the second visit, because this friend of mine, he's actually the director of the Zero Waste Institute, and he was in touch with me because he wanted to make an event about waste and forests, but he has never been to a forest, so he has this very like fancy idea about, oh, there is no waste in the forest, so the event will be about it, you know, like this is the frontier of waste, you know. And then I told him, I don't think so.
Well, I was shocked, like I said, you didn't expect to see that there.
Yeah. And then he went there with me to see if it would be possible to do such an event there. And then we discussed the project with the community, and this was like the main visit, like in terms of really building up the project, and everybody there was aware of the problem, and they were really like thankful that we went there to try to find solutions.
Yeah.
So they are really expecting that the project works out, and I'm thinking like, okay, I really need to make this work. So all any sort of help and contribution is very welcome.
Fabulous. Yeah. And are you working with any other indigenous tribes down in the Amazon?
I worked in the Xingu area in the state of Pará with the Kayapó people. Okay. They are very different from the Yanawa, because the Yanawa are very open to the Western society. They are in Acre, which is a different state than Pará in terms of openness as well, for other people,
more outside
and
contact,
for projects and for things like that. So the Yanawa get very involved with different initiatives. The Kayapó are very closed, and they are very conflicting sometimes.
Okay.
They are famous for their like
warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite warriors.
They are very strong as well. They have like immense areas of land in Brazil that they protect a lot. So they are really inspiring tribe. And I also worked with the Surui tribe, which is very open to outsiders as well. The Surui people, actually, they have a very famous project in partnership with Google, where they are trying to map their areas with the help from Google.
Map.
Yeah, and Google Maps, and it's a very interesting initiative.
And how were you working with those other 2 tribes?
Mainly through there is this mechanism being discussed under the United Nations for reducing climate change. It's called Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Degradation. REDD is the acronym. And I'm as a scientist, I've been researching about it, about the impacts of climate change and about the impacts of measures to reduce deforestation, such as REDD. More on the social impacts of it, how these populations are adapting to these sort of measures and to the changes that climate change are bringing on. So my work in the Xingu area was mainly related to evaluating a fund that the Kayapo is now involved because the Brazilian government received a lot of money from Norway and from Germany to implement REDD, to implement this mechanism on the ground. And the idea of this is that developed countries pay developing countries to reduce deforestation because of climate change. And as developed countries have
Other main
more responsible
contributors towards
exactly.
because of consumerism and stuff. Okay, that's fantastic. And so, can you tell us a little bit how climate change is actually affecting the Amazonian forest
Yeah, so it's
and the importance of that for our planet?
yeah. So the problem with the forests is that besides the fact that the forest is actually a carbon reservoir, like it removes the carbon from the atmosphere through the photosynthesis process and so on. Also, so it helps to reduce climate change. It also, like the deforestation, when you are either burning the forest or cutting the trees down, you are also emitting greenhouse gases, mainly carbon, to the
Contributing
atmosphere.
to the damage to the ozone layer.
Yeah, exactly. So there are two sides of it. Like we need the forest to reduce climate change, and it's like really, really important in terms of climate regulation for the whole world. It's like there were some floods and droughts in California recently, and there are a lot of scientists that related to the increase of deforestation recently as well. And because of that, forests have a very important role to play in reducing climate change. And at the same time, the forests are being, in Brazil especially, in other countries, in other tropical countries, is different causes. There are different causes of deforestation, but in Brazil especially, they are being cut for raising cattle and for growing soy, which is to feed cattle.
And from what I understand, you could probably correct me on this, it's up to 6 football fields per day that's being demolished. It could be a lot higher because I looked at that and that was about over a year ago. So
Yeah, now
what it
it's
is
more.
Now.
Now it's,
So can you tell us, given at that rate of destruction, what would be the consequences to the planet were the Amazon forest to be completely destroyed? Because there are many people out there that will be listening that wouldn't understand or comprehend the importance of the Amazon forest and its preservation. And the indigenous tribes are the main ones who are preserving the Amazon
they are
forest.
the guardians.
They are the guardians. I call them the keepers of the earth.
The keepers of the earth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there are different consequences. If we destroy like all the Amazon, probably we're going to have a huge problem in terms of climate change. Because as I was saying, it regulates the climate in different parts of the world, and it provides what we call the flying rivers. It's like a lot of the water that is produced by the forest to go to the atmosphere to other places in
so
the
currents,
world.
air currents, airflow.
Yeah, besides what some scientists call environmental services, which is this sort of services that the forests are providing to us as human beings, such as oxygen, biodiversity, water, climate regulation, and so on, that we need to recognize. And I don't really like the term environmental services because I think we need to be the ones serving the forest.
Absolutely, serving the planet.
But it's very, very common. It's in terms of the international level, the United Nations debates and the World Bank and so on. They all talk about environmental services and the importance of recognizing these services to humanity, and that we need to sort of like, and then this is the type of the discourse that I don't really like, because it involves some sort of commoditization of nature. So just like we need to value these services, and the way to value it is with money and creating like carbon markets and so on. So that's why it's very tricky, because in the end I think we all need to understand nature in another way, in a more like honoring way, such as the indigenous
Honoring
people.
way, yeah, because you know, our planet is a living being,
Exactly.
and we
can't really
we have a
measure.
symbiotic relationship with her, and
It's
people
much
need to
more
start waking up
complex.
to that, because time, from what I understand, is speeding up and running out. So people really need to
and
start
we
taking
don't have much
responsibility.
time. That's the thing.
We
We
don't have
definitely
much
don't
time.
have much time in terms of avoiding deforestation, especially when you see a scenario like this where the whole world is in crisis, and Brazil it's in terrible crisis. And
I was actually talking to a shaman called Kurukindi, who comes from Ecuador. He comes from a lineage of shamans. And he was saying that actually, through their calculation, you've got 15 to 20 years before we start seeing major effects of the climate change and the quality of air. That children in 20 years' time will be really suffering, given what's going on. Great, thank you. Well, with the Zero Waste Community Project that you're working on, I feel, because, you know, I know there's a lot of, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware, because it's something that's been brought up over a period of many, many years, the issues that are going on with genocides of indigenous tribes over there. And as I was saying to you earlier, from what I've read, one of the excuses that the governments tend to use is that they see the indigenous tribes as unable to manage or handle responsibly the lands on which they live. So they do a lot of land grabbing going on, and a lot of tribes are getting, massacred, actually. So your project, for me, I see, your project serves in many ways. Not only is it for the environment and the cleaning and awareness, but also it's showing that the tribes they have an intelligence. They are responsible for the land. So this is sort of helping to establish that as well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think.
Which makes the project important as well, so that people can see they're not just savages. You do have some incredible people with incredible mentalities that still seem to see this, and maybe they need to sort of get more active. People that are listening need to get more active and aware on the destruction that is going on with the tribes over there, because like you said, for me they're the earth keepers. Okay, fabulous. Can you tell us a little bit about, am I correct in saying that the Yawanawa are creating a healing centre, or looking to create a healing centre? Because I know there are many tribes like the Shipibo and many others that have created healing centres, because plant medicine is becoming more and more recognised, especially within the Western world and even the Western medical establishment. A lot of people have sort of, you have a big sort of awakening going on the planet. People are becoming more conscious and looking for holistic healing, which shamanic medicine offers. It offers physical, energetic and spiritual healing. So can you tell us a little bit more about the healing centre that maybe the Yawanawa are working on as well, and are you looking at working on that as a project for funding as well?
They are now trying to raise funds. There are like two of the villages. One it's called Mutum, where the Zero Waste project is going to be implemented, and the other one is called Nova Esperança. They are 2 of 8 villages that all the population, the Yanawa population, live. So these 2 villages, they are the ones that are getting together to raise funds for the healing center. And the idea is that they are trying to raise these funds through actually going abroad and doing some ceremonies. For example, there is
They're doing a UK tour now. Some of the female shamans of the tribe are doing
exactly. So they are doing some tours around the world,
which involves educating people on the medicines
exactly.
and also raising money for the healing center.
Exactly,
okay,
it's like both goals in one.
And
like,
how could people find out information how to access that so that they can maybe come to the ceremonies, make themselves more aware on the beautiful medicines of the Yawanaw tribe?
So a good website to find more information about the meetings being organized by the people in the Mutum village is Indigenous Celebrations. They are actually an NGO, but their website provides more information on these ceremonies and also on the healing center as well.
The name of the website is
Indigenous Celebrations.
.co.uk.com.
I'm in doubt. I think .org maybe.
.org. Okay, so we'll check that out afterwards, and then we'll put a little subtitle on the bottom for people to be able to see it again, to remind them how they can connect to contribute towards your project, and also the healing centre. Okay, Mauro, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Well, how many people are living in the community?
So in this community, they have around 27 families, and more or less, I would say, it's 150 families, people. But in total, the Yanawa around 800 people.
Okay, coming back to the traditional healing, how many shamans or let's say people, men or women, expert in plants and healing are available in the community?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because they just lost the oldest shaman in the village, which is called the Tata, and he was actually more than 100 years. This is what the legends say. You never know. But he was very, very strong. So his loss changed a lot of things, and the center was exactly for trying to, because the thing about the language, for example, is very important in terms of sharing the knowledge, the traditional knowledge from the elders to the children and to the young people, to the youth. And now what happens with his death, there is one shaman that is very important, Matini, and there is also the woman shaman, which is Hushahu, and she was the first woman female shaman in the Amazon, because this was very revolutionary coming from the Yanawa. Like normally it's just men.
Considering the big difference in cultures compared to the Western culture, how possible is, in your opinion, for us to learn for them and to learn in a proper way more about healing, traditional healing and plants? Because we understand things in a different way, so it's very much to understand their culture, how they, how they learned all this. This complex, let's say, set of knowledge. It's a very, very deep knowledge, apparently, and so how they can share with us. Is it possible, in your opinion?
Yeah, in terms of the Yanawa, they are very open, and actually there are different white people that went there to do what they call the Muka diet, which is a very, very traditional diet for their lineage, because the Muka is like a potato, is a root potato, and the seed, it's a very sacred potato, and the diet, it's like you it's a 1 year diet, but then in 3 months you need to stay in the forest. If you are a white, or even if you are indigenous, you go to the forest, you stay in a more or less isolated place in the forest, in the village. You don't stay in where everybody lives. and then you are just eating the potato, just eating muka, and using the medicines. And what happens, and how they were passing this knowledge from like their ancestors to the current people that live there, it's just by language. They don't write it down. So
It's oral.
yeah, it's oral, exactly. And then they learn from the medicines. So
Could you elaborate a little bit more for listeners that may not understand what medicines are? Could you elaborate a little bit more on the medicines and how they're utilised, or how they work with the plants, really? Because the medicines come from the plants and the spirits of the plants. So
Yeah.
can you elaborate a little bit more for listeners?
yeah, so the main medicines they use is rapé, which is made of tobacco and also another root, another I forgot the name in English. And they also use ayahuasca, which they call uni, because they believe it comes from the universal force. So they call in their language ayahuasca is uni. And ayahuasca is made also from the plants, from two types of plants, and the main thing about ayahuasca is that they believe that ayahuasca is a teacher.
A teacher
And-
plant, because some plants are teacher plants.
Yeah, a teacher plant, and they even say, I'm gonna study. I'm gonna, like, when they it's not that I'm just taking ayahuasca to connect. They are taking
So you mean-
ayahuasca,
You mean that they learn about medicine from the plant directly?
yeah, from the plant directly.
And how does that happen for people who are listening that don't maybe know? or
Yeah,
understand that method?
what happens is that they get connected to the spiritual world through the plants.
So the
and-
medicine is brewed up is brewed up. It's cooked for a period of time, and then it's
Yeah,
drank as a
it's-
tea.
Yeah, they take it as a tea, and they cook it for a while. It's a lot of work. I helped last time I was there, and it is a lot of work. And then they extract the tea of the plants, and
And there's a process whilst they're doing this, the tea, because they sing Ikaros, which
Yeah.
are songs that are given to them by the spirit of the plants to
Yeah.
activate the spiritual aspects
yeah,
of the
exactly.
medicine. Is that right?
Exactly. They sing and they get together, they pray for the spirits, they honor a lot of the animals in the forest as well, because most of their songs are about the animals in the forest and the spiritual
Recognizing.
world. So while they are doing it, there is a lot of spiritual work being done as well by them. And then they drink normally in a circle, and they always need to have fire. For them, it's really, really important to have some fire on, because it's another spirit, the spirit of the fire. And they sing a lot. They sing beautiful songs. They are really known by their songs as well. They are one of the tribes in the Amazon that have more traditional songs. And the women have amazing voice, so they sing the whole night, and they get really connected to nature, to each other, to the spiritual world, and then they learn from the medicines. But then this is different when you are doing the diet. When you are doing the diet, you are doing it alone, so you need to be really alone. Like the shaman,
So the
main
diet,
shaman go there to check on you.
the diet is in order to connect to the spirit of the plant that they're working with at that time.
Yeah, and to become a shaman.
It's the
So
first
what
step,
you-
of
what
the,
you
it's the
were
first step of
saying.
the teaching. The diet is the first
Well, to
step.
Yeah.
become a
of the teaching.
shaman on that level with the medicine, I think you have to build a relationship and create allies with the plant spirits. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so when you say that the ayahuasca, for instance, teaches people, how does it teach them
It's mainly through visions
visions?
and messages, and it has a
Giving them
work-
information that they
Yeah.
wouldn't otherwise access in the
yeah,
three-dimensional world.
yeah. It activates actually some of the substances that we already have in
DMT
our
in the
yeah.
brain that's
with
produced
the-
by the pineal gland.
Exactly, we already have it in our organisms. Every living organism has it, but we don't produce it enough.
So it's a quick way of us sort of obtaining that very quickly,
Yeah.
access through working with the plant spirits.
And there are a lot of studies that are proving that it's really effective in terms of depression, in terms of treating different types of diseases like depression, like alcoholism and addiction,
Psychological,
psychological, yeah. So
and physical maladies?
physical as well.
Okay.
Physical as well. There are some cases that people went there with physical problems and they were able to overcome this serious
Through
problems.
working with the medicine
Through working
and
with the
learning through
medicine.
medicine. Okay, could you tell us a little bit about the rapé as well, the medicinal aspects of rapé? I've personally worked with rapé. I was introduced to rapé, as you know, with Nishiwaka, and I started using it with clients because I do clinical hypnotherapy and psychotherapy, and it is amazing. It
Yeah.
speeds up the healing. It's amazing with people who have anxiety and depression. It's gone because, as you know, it brings them to balance.
Yeah.
So that's what I've found with people who are maybe not deeply into the medicine from a spiritual level, but as a therapeutic way to apply the medicine.
Yeah.
So can you enlighten us a little bit more on the use of rapé and how people can benefit from it?
Yeah, rapé is very, very tradition for the Yanoa and for other tribes as well. And it's a very earthy medicine. It grounds you, and the effects that rapé brings on is that it opens your, like what they call your third eye, and it increases your concentration. You get more present. You get a lot of it's like this alert feeling, and it's really, really powerful in terms of making you more grounded and reducing anxiety, for example.
Yeah. And what it does, I think, is it balances out the energy fields.
Yeah.
And the energy fields, you've got the mental and emotional bodies. So when people have mind chatter, which is how I use it with my clients sometimes, when they have a lot of mind chatter that's sort of going on for whatever reason, and that creates anxiety, it's underlying the anxiety and the depression. So with the rapé, I feel it balances out because it cleans the energetic field.
Yeah.
So it creates balance, and so it's amazing because it's instant peace.
Yeah.
All the chatter goes, which is caused from the imbalance of those fields, so it actually balances out. And from what I understand, it completely realigns the chakras as well.
Yeah.
As well
exactly.
as removing any negative energy within the body or the energy field that would normally be purged out. So it's amazing, amazing medicine. I've actually used it to get people off antidepressants and things like that. So it's amazing.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mauro, is there anything else you'd like to?
No, it would be interesting to go a bit more into the next steps of the shamanic journey to become a shaman.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell us something more about that, or
Yeah.
maybe it's a big question.
No, it's mainly more or less what I was saying about the diet. Like if you really wanna pursue this spiritual path, you first need to recognize the medicines, the power of the medicines, and so on. Acknowledge how they are the ones that will teach you, but also then with the diet, like with this 1 year diet, after that you are, according to them, you are another person already. You change all your layers and everything, and then you are really connected with the spiritual world. So it consists again 3 months isolated in the forest, just taking the medicines. You're just taking the uni, rapé, sananga, and also painting your body, and you can't really eat anything else. After these 3 months, you can come back and connect with other people, but you need to keep going with the diet. You can't really eat sugar. You can eat other things, but there are some things that are really restricted, such as sugar and also sex. For example, you need to stay 1 year without sex. And
can we ask why those things are restricted? Is it because it creates a vibrational interference with the communication of the plant spirit?
Yeah, and disconnects you from the spiritual world. And sugar is actually very serious for them, because they do believe that sugar makes you lazy and makes you like really disconnected from the spirits. So, and sex, yeah, you were mixing your energy and
you need
the
to keep
field.
as pure as possible
Yeah,
to get the
exactly.
communication as much
Yeah.
as possible.
Are they open to teach everybody? There is a gate to pass to go through some, or everybody they are open to teach everybody. Let's say that if a doctor from London want to go there
Yeah.
and to learn to stay 1 year in the forest, coping with all the requirements, would they be open to teach?
Yeah, they are very open.
They are
They
very
are now very open. I mean, of course, they will need to know the person. That they will need to go.
There are certain conditions that one would have to meet in order to do
Yeah.
any sort of an apprenticeship,
Yeah,
such as not have mental health issues or anything like that.
Exactly.
Because there's a responsibility, as with
Exactly,
anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So of course they will need to like kind
There's a
of
strict
check
requirement.
out if it's,
Your background.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if it's like safe
Mhm.
for the person to be there as well. But they are very, very open. They really they want to share their knowledge. They know that it's being lost, and they benefit from it as well, because when people learn from them, they are also spreading their learning
Absolutely.
outside.
Which is
Yeah.
what the planet needs now.
Yeah,
More awareness
yeah.
to be raised, like I said, they're the
Yeah.
earth keepers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, that's it for me.
That's it.
Well,
Thank
maybe
you.
one question.
Fernanda
Thank you very much.
Gabara, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for giving us this wonderful interview and amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I will be putting a little subtitle underneath with the information should anyone wish to contact you or to work with you on any level with this work that you're doing.
Every help is
And to
welcome.
contribute and donate to this fabulous cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.
Once again to the Healers Forum Project, which discusses everything on every level to do with healing. Thank you.
Thank you.